Hello and welcome to episode 26, part 2 of our warrior journey. We find ourselves currently in Thunderbluff, ready to fly to Orgrimmar, which will commence immediately. We've got several deliveries, one going back to Ishara. We've got 2 more deliveries to make, one to Orgrimmar and one to Undercity. We've got the Felwood quest to follow up later. We've got the Sleeping Craftsman quest to hand in also in Undercity and Betrayed to complete in Orgrimmar as well. So we'll be going to Orgrimmar to hand in 2, Undercity to hand in 2, and then either back across the Zeppelin, or alternatively, we'll half to Freewind Post and fly north into Ashara. Which dungeon are they talking about going to? I'm between 34 and what, 36 or 38. I mean, your resources will increase, and you may also have found some gear upgrades as well. It's hard to say. Yeah, I'm assuming they're talking about Scarlet Monastery still, or maybe they're talking about something slightly higher. It sounds like either SM Cath or RF Razorfen Downs. No. Maradon? Oh. Oh, 7 levels under final boss is not exactly comfortable. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, 40 and fine. That's what Alderman is designed for, like the early. I'd like to see more like early Alderman run levels, dungeon runs. Yeah, 58 and almost a half. We will be 58 and a half in a moment, though. Spirit. Not even a close choice. Take the money. How are you getting on with leveling and dungeons? Oh, nice. Good. Yeah, do you prefer questing or AoE grinding as a mage then? Question. Hmm. Yeah, AoE grinding is certainly risky. Definitely. Like even the people who do it a lot have frequent close calls. Now, questing as a mage isn't that bad, really. Not from what I remember it being, anyway. I tend to prefer like playing casters anyway. I think it feels more fluid, more natural, more, I don't know, like you have more options. So you mean, when you say keep them from leashing, you mean dropping aggro and resetting, yeah? Yeah. It's easier to do once you're mounted, that's for sure. And one thing that can help with not preventing the resets is getting things to aggro socially rather than directly. Because then they become linked to one leash timer, essentially. But that is harder to do because you'd have to sort of run in a wider arc. Do you know what I mean by that? Like social aggro is when you attack a thing and it runs close to something else, and that triggers the other mob to become aggressive as well. If you've seen any of the high-level hunters bot killing videos, they use that technique a lot. Yes, that's right. If they're aggroed socially, then attacking one resets the leash for all of them. It's why it's sometimes necessary to do split pulls for certain quests and things. A split pull is generally when you hit all of the mobs at once with an AoE effect, so that you trigger them all with separate leash timers. Otherwise, if you attacked one and all the creatures aggroed as a result, they would all be on one timer. There are other effects which can split pull. So something that's a bit unusual for that is a druid or a rogue exiting stealth in proximity to multiple mobs. And when I say exiting stealth, I don't mean attacking one, because that triggers the aggro of the social aggro effect. I mean literally walking up to a group of mobs and exiting stealth, because then they all latch onto you at the same time and become aggroed by your presence rather than any social effect. Frost Nova resists. Depending what you're fighting, some creatures will naturally have frost resistance, and mobs closer to your level are also more likely to resist. I don't know what level the things are in relation to. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look up the specific mob's stats online somewhere. I'm sure there's some sort of resource that has a clue as to what they've got. Yeah, if they're the same level, then you're more likely to get a resist of some sort. Now, Tauren only problem. Dismount before lift. You get stuck on the door on your Kodo otherwise. Yes, yes it is. I can imagine that would be incredibly frustrating, because you can't have the one thing hitting you and interrupting your cast, right? And yet, despite all that, the AoE leveling is still optimal. Right, what else can we bank? Um, Alright, I didn't realise you had to drink after every mob still. That's interesting. Is that equal level mobs though, rather than ones that are below you? Yeah, I mean that makes more sense. It's a difficult one to assess. Like different classes can do things differently. I was talking the other day about like in Winter Spring when I was there on the Warlock. You know that there's a patrol of 3 Winterfall runners that's level 57, or all 3 of them are the same. Um, and I fought them on the Warlock, I think at level 54, 1v3, and it used a reasonable amount of like health and mana resources, but the fight was fine. Like it wasn't particularly like massively difficult. Um, I needed to reset afterwards. You know, I needed to life tap and eat the bodies, but you know that's Warlock life, right? Um, but when I was there on the Warrior, I was thinking about the same fight at level 54, and I don't think I'd have been comfortable taking on 2 of them at level 54. Possibly not even one of them at level 54 as on a Warrior. It just, the experience of trying to fight the Hellboars in Blasted Lands was highlighted just the difficulties of one mob being 3 levels higher just made it impossible. And that would have been 3 mobs 3 levels higher. I don't think it would have even been a good idea if I'd used retaliation either. But like on the Warlock, I knew it was going to be tricky. I knew it would be like a long and tough fight, but I knew it was possible. I didn't even need to fear any of them in the end either. Just Voidwalker tanked, and when it died, sacked it and resummoned. I don't know if you saw the. I think it was about level 51 when I tried to fight the Hellboar. It was level 53, and that was just no. I used a potion to heal. Still no. I spammed hamstring on it and used nifty stopwatch to run away. I can't remember, and I might be misquoting, but I think I possibly even used retaliation on it as well. But that I might be misremembering that. I'm not certain. Either way, it was ridiculous. I went back at, was it level 54? And it was fine. I swear, when you're talking about melee classes, there's something very significant about how weapon skill, relative weapon skill scales, and also how armor scales as well. So, I'm assuming mob armor works exactly the same as like character armor. And notice this is damage reduction against the level 58 attacker. That means that if I'm being attacked by higher level mobs, my armor is less effective. If I'm being attacked by lower level mobs, the armor is more effective. And the same is true in reverse. So if I'm fighting something that's dealing physical damage to me, and it's a higher level than I am, it's dealing more damage to me, and I'm dealing less damage to it. And then, of course, you've got to take the weapon skill into account as well. So if I'm lower level, all mobs have the weapon skill appropriate for their level. So it's just level times 5. So if you're 2 levels below, and what's my one-handed swords at the moment? So I'm a level 58. I'm basically capped. But if I was fighting a level 61, obviously I could, or a 60 or whatever, I couldn't be at 300 skill. So this is the best I could be, but it's still 10 skill below what it is. So it's going to have an easier time hitting me. I'm going to have a harder time hitting it. And it's all of those like little percentages that play into melee combat that make things like so much more difficult. That people don't realize just how much gaining a level or two matters. I think like it really, really matters. But it's all sort of vaguely hidden as to how much it matters. Like when people level up, all most people really pay attention to is, oh, I gained a strength and agility and a stamina. Okay. and they like forget everything that's behind it. But yeah, essentially that's why being 2 levels under that Hellbore, it felt like an impossible task for whatever reason. And maybe the Hellbore have like significantly higher armor than other boars. I don't know. But whatever it was, there was something about it that was really impactful and made the fight impossible. And then gaining 4 levels, and instead of fighting it like 2 levels under, fighting it 2 levels over, or whatever, you know, like changes the fight completely in the opposite direction. It would be very interesting to see, certainly. I would very much like to know which mobs are resistant to certain damage types. You can kind of spot it to a degree, like if you suddenly get a lot more resisted earth binds, for example, then you'll know it's got high nature resistance. You can also tell to a degree by looking at wand damage, and if it's doing like consistently the same damage that it was doing everywhere else, or if it's doing generally a reduced amount from what you would expect. But like it's not an obvious thing. But it would be very interesting to know and see that information. For retail, it's probably largely irrelevant, but for classic, it matters. It really, really matters so much. Because as far as your AoE grinding is concerned, you wouldn't want to try and AoE farm somewhere that the mobs are slightly frost resistant, because as you say, you don't want to experience all of those resists at inopportune times. Yeah, I think there used to be a resource that somewhere that had a lot of that, like resistance information and other mob stats, but I don't know. I can't where it is. I know I've looked at something that talked about it a long time ago. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure where to find it. Uh, Rogue without, yeah, Rogue versus Frostbolts. Bad idea. Having a level 13 versus level 14 Frostbolt casting things. Probably too busy chatting and not paying attention. Well, just because it doesn't exist anymore doesn't mean it's not findable. There is a resource that shows websites like as they were. Oh right. Yeah, well, I mean, if you've done AoE grinding, that's part of the issue, isn't it? It's, Now I've tried looking on the Wayback Machine, and there's nothing that comes up there. Well, I'm afraid I need to head out for a bit. So I'm going to have to draw the stream to a close there. We're ready to continue questing in Felwood. This time we've got a few more quests to pick up. Yeah, a couple more quests, like 3 or so. Yeah, I don't know, unfortunately, where to look to try and determine mob resistances. I know something was out there somewhere a long time ago, but the closest I can think of might be some of the Petopia data. Hunter pets. I'd have to spend time looking at it, but so I've got to head out in a moment. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for watching. It's been a nice chat, interesting discussion, and I will see you next time when I return, probably in 2 hours. So, see you soon.